The times where people ignore the red flags and say, let's just keep pushing, those are the times.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds just got dragged into a courtroom storm that could tear apart everything they've built, because a single judge's ruling just linked their company to stolen evidence. It started like any other day in celebrity news, movie trailers, red carpet smiles, and polished interviews. But then a headline slipped through the noise, and within hours, Blake Lively's name was trending for all the wrong reasons. Not because of a film premiere or a viral outfit, but because of a federal judge's ruling that hinted something far more serious might be hiding behind the couple's perfect image. Inside a quiet Manhattan courtroom, Judge Louis J. Lyman made a decision that could flip an entire case, and maybe even an entire reputation, on its head. The court confirmed that 2 explosive claims tied to a woman named Stephanie Jones were strong enough to move forward. On paper, she's just another industry insider, a former publicist known for working with names like Justin Baldoni. But in this story, she's something else entirely, the alleged key player in a digital theft that may have spilled straight into Blake Lively's hands. At the center of it all lies one question.
It's believing that people and humanity are inherently good.
Did Blake Lively's legal team use stolen data to build a case? Because if the answer turns out to be yes, this isn't just bad optics, it's potential legal disaster. The judge's order focused on 2 claims, California's Penal Code 502, essentially computer crimes and conversion, a civil term for theft. Translation: the court believes there's credible evidence that someone illegally accessed private data, took it and used it for leverage. And that digital trail, prosecutors say, might lead back to a company tied to Blake and Ryan themselves. It's the kind of scandal that doesn't stay quiet, because the deeper you look, the more it starts to resemble a high-stakes screenplay. One where the heroes of the story suddenly find themselves cast as the suspects. 4 years, Blake and Ryan have been Hollywood's power couple, the perfect mix of talent, charm, and humor. Their public image was airtight. But when a ruling like this surfaces, even the most polished PR can't stop the internet from asking questions. Was Blake's lawsuit built on tainted evidence? Did someone inside her circle cross a legal line? Or worse, did the couple's company become the unwitting middleman in a chain of stolen information? Whatever the truth is, one thing is certain.
That they know you, I think, because of how intrusive media is these days. There's
a story that started in a courtroom is now being rewritten in the court of public opinion. Before the headlines, before the courtroom, this entire scandal began with something deceptively simple: a phone. Jen Abel, once a colleague and confidant of filmmaker Justin Baldoni, handed her passcode to a woman she trusted, Stephanie Jones. The reason seemed harmless enough. Jones was supposed to help move her number to a new device. No drama, no secrets, just a routine favor between friends in the industry. But according to court filings, that trust was the crack where everything started to unravel. Abel claims that once Jones had access, she didn't just move the number, she kept the key. Behind the scenes, Jones allegedly slipped into Abel's iCloud.
For those who are not in the Hollywood world, what is wrong with her taking over the film?
I've never...
Her messages, her private accounts. Then, when Abel tried to regain control, she found herself locked out entirely. Her texts, verification codes, and even her online identity suddenly out of reach. It's the kind of digital betrayal that sounds almost cinematic. One person holding the keys to another's entire digital life. But for Abel, it wasn't fiction. It was panic. She says her personal information had been hijacked, and when she traced where that data eventually went, the trail pointed somewhere no one expected. That data, according to her lawsuit, didn't stay hidden. It allegedly flowed straight into the hands of Van Zen Incorporated, a company tied directly to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. From there, pieces of that private material appeared in court filings, used to strengthen a lawsuit connected to Blake's side of the ongoing dispute. Think about that. Screenshots, messages, personal data, all allegedly lifted from one phone, then repurposed to fuel another case. If that chain can be proven, Abel's phone to Jones, Jones to Van Zen, and Van Zen to Blake's lawyers, then the case against Baldoni doesn't just weaken. It collapses, because every document, every exhibit, every screenshot could be considered poisoned evidence. For months, Abel's story was dismissed as speculation, but Judge Lyman's ruling changed that overnight. By allowing two of her most serious claims to move forward, the court sent a message. There's enough here to keep digging. And that's when the tone of the story shifted from quiet legal dispute to something much darker. Because if Abel's version is true, this isn't just about one stolen phone. It's about a chain of access that could link Hollywood royalty to an act of digital theft. And that's a connection Blake and Ryan can't afford to be part of. Here's where the story stops being theory and starts looking like a roadmap. Because the stolen data didn't vanish into thin air. It allegedly followed a trail, and that trail leads directly into Blake and Ryan's orbit. According to the filings, once Stephanie Jones got inside Jen Abel's phone, she didn't just browse around. She took what she wanted. Messages, documents, account details, everything that could be used to build leverage in a legal fight. But what makes this story shocking isn't the hack itself. It's what supposedly happened next. That data, Abel claims, was passed to Van Zen Incorporated, a company with close ties to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. On paper, Van Zen looks like a standard corporate entity, one of many owned by the couple to manage their growing business empire. But in this case, it's accused of being the bridge that turned stolen personal data into legal ammunition. In October 2024, Van Zen reportedly filed what looked like a routine lawsuit in New York. It asked for subpoenas, discovery, and data production, all perfectly legitimate moves in a normal case. But Abel's team says it wasn't normal at all. They call it a smokescreen, a clever way to make stolen material look like it had been obtained legally. If that sounds complicated, think of it like laundering information. The lawsuit gave the appearance of due process, while the real source of the evidence stayed hidden behind layers of paperwork. On paper, everything looked clean. But in the background, Abel insists it was all built on hacked messages and unauthorized access. And that's the detail that could wreck Blake's entire position. Because if discovery proves Van Zen used material that originated from Abel's stolen accounts, then Blake's lawsuit doesn't just fall apart. It becomes evidence of its own wrongdoing. Judge Lyman's decision means that investigators now have permission to dig into Van Zen's internal communications, emails, chat logs, message threads. Anything that could prove how that data moved from Stephanie Jones to Blake's legal team. If the emails show even one instance of someone acknowledging that the material came from a hacked device, the fallout could be catastrophic. Not just legally, but reputationally. Because suddenly the sweet, charming image that made Blake and Ryan the darlings of Hollywood starts to look more like a mask. It raises the question nobody in their circle wants to answer. Were Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds using stolen evidence to win a courtroom fight? No matter how the couple's attorneys spin it, that's the question now echoing across Hollywood. And for the first time, their brand of effortless charm might not be enough to silence it. When Judge Louis Lyman issued his ruling, it didn't read like a Hollywood headline, it read like a warning. For months, Blake Lively's legal team had painted the controversy as exaggerated noise, insisting the case against their company was built on rumor. But the court disagreed. By allowing the two central claims, computer crimes and civil theft, to move forward, the judge made one thing crystal clear. There's enough smoke here to start looking for the fire. That single decision flipped the balance of power. Overnight, what had been a quiet legal scuffle turned into a courtroom thriller. Abel's lawyers now had the green light to demand discovery. Van Zen's internal emails, contracts, message logs, and every scrap of digital communication that might show how the alleged data changed hands. And that's where the danger multiplies. Because once discovery begins, control disappears. If a paper trail exists, if any Van Zandt employee forwarded those files or even mentioned that they came from Abel's accounts, it's game over. The judge could toss every piece of evidence Blake's side submitted, leaving her original case hollow and exposed. But the threat doesn't stop at civil court. California's Penal Code 502 isn't just about damages. It can carry criminal consequences. If prosecutors decide that the stolen data crossed state lines or that Van Zandt knowingly used it, the case could move beyond monetary penalties. It could trigger an investigation that names real people, not just corporations. For Stephanie Jones, the alleged hacker at the center, that risk is immediate. But the bigger problem is where that trail ends. If investigators prove the information was delivered to a company linked to Blake and Ryan, then the couple's pristine image becomes part of the evidence chain itself. Hollywood scandals come and go, infidelity, secret projects, social media feuds. But this one feels different, because this isn't about gossip. It's about digital fingerprints, forensic trails, and intent. Every message, every file, every timestamp could tell a story the couple has spent years avoiding. And as discovery ramps up, so does the speculation. The question floating through every courtroom corridor isn't whether the evidence exists. It's whether Blake and Ryan knew. Because if they did, they're not just fighting for a lawsuit. They're fighting for their names. Hollywood runs on image. And few have perfected theirs like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. For over a decade, they've been the industry's favorite couple. The jokes, the Instagram banter, the red carpet chemistry, it all fed into a story the public wanted to believe. They weren't just actors. They were proof that fame didn't have to corrode authenticity. But that's exactly why this scandal hits so hard. Because if the allegations against Van Zandt turn out to be true, the damage won't stop at a courtroom door. It'll tear into the heart of their brand. Every endorsement, every film contract, every lifestyle partnership rests on trust. Audiences believe they're watching two people who built their empire on talent and charm, not manipulation. Yet now the narrative is slipping. Social media, threads, are flooded with speculation. Fans are dissecting old interviews, rewatching moments where Blake talked about honesty and transparency, searching for cracks they might have missed. And the irony is brutal. The couple's greatest strength, their likability, is now their biggest vulnerability. In the entertainment world, perception is currency. Once that's gone, no publicist, no heartfelt post, no smiling photo op can fully restore it. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, who once looked like the underdog caught in their legal crossfire, is suddenly the one gaining sympathy. The story is changing shape. He's not the aggressor anymore. He's the man standing up against a Hollywood powerhouse accused of cutting corners. Inside studios, executives are reportedly uneasy. Nobody wants their projects associated with a potential hacking scandal. Sponsors, networks, and brand managers all live by one unspoken rule. Stay close to the clean and far from the controversial. If Blake and Ryan's names become synonymous with stolen data or corporate misconduct, the fallout could ripple far beyond a single lawsuit. And then there's the timing. Blake just stepped into one of the biggest moments of her career with It Ends With Us, a project meant to redefine her Hollywood image. But if discovery proves that her team or her company used illegally obtained material, that narrative evaporates. Suddenly, it's not her performance people are talking about. It's her credibility. The couple that once symbolized perfection is now facing a public ready to see the cracks. The smiles that once seemed effortless now look rehearsed. And for the first time in their careers, their greatest battle isn't for box office numbers. It's for belief. Because in Hollywood, image is everything. And when that image starts to fall apart, it rarely comes back whole. As the investigation deepens, one thing becomes clear. This story isn't slowing down. The courtroom filings have opened the door, and now the real fight begins. Not just over stolen data, but over what happens when the truth starts to surface. Judge Lyman's ruling gave Jen Abel a second wind. Her claims of computer crimes and conversion are only the beginning. She's been granted time to refine her case, to bring in more evidence, and to reintroduce the federal claims the judge said could be revived with stronger details. In legal terms, that's a warning shot. It means this story isn't closing, it's expanding. For Stephanie Jones, the alleged hacker, the walls are closing in. If investigators find proof that she accessed those accounts without permission, she could face real criminal exposure. But she's not the only one under pressure. Because if she turns over evidence or cooperates with investigators, that trail could climb straight up the ladder, to Van Zandt, to the lawyers, and potentially to Blake and Ryan themselves. And that's the nightmare scenario. Hollywood's golden couple, suddenly dragged from the red carpet to the witness stand, forced to explain how stolen data ended up in their possession. Imagine that image. Two of the most beloved faces in entertainment, defending themselves not from rumors, but from receipts. The irony couldn't be sharper. For years, Blake and Ryan's public lives have been a lesson in control. Carefully crafted posts, coordinated interviews, a brand built on harmony and humor. But control only works when the truth stays quiet. Once discovery begins, once the evidence starts talking, control disappears. It's no longer about whose PR statement sounds better. It's about what the data says. And the industry is watching. Because if even a fraction of Abel's allegations hold up, this case could reshape how Hollywood handles private data, corporate boundaries, and digital accountability. The fallout wouldn't just touch one couple. It would send a message across an entire industry addicted to image. So, the question now isn't just whether Blake, Lively, and Ryan Reynolds can win in court. It's whether their carefully built fairy tale can survive the truth. Because if even part of the story proves real, the ending won't be written by their lawyers or their publicists. It'll be written by the evidence. What do you think? Can Blake and Ryan's reputation survive a scandal like this? Or has the shine of Hollywood's golden couple finally started to fade? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.